If these motions are approved this evening, the board will be in a balanced budget position for 24-25 with the assistance of the one-time use of the $27.5 million in proceeds of disposition.
Thank you, through the chair. I just have a question of clarification to staff. Regarding that letter that was received from the minister on June 13th, speaking to proceeds of disposition, what are the impacts and effects of the conditions attached to the acceptance of those proceeds of disposition? I just wanted to be clear on the criteria, the conditions attached to that.
Through the chair, in the letter, and I'm just quoting, it says that using proceeds of disposition is a viable option available and will have strong fiscal controls and conditions attached. They will protect and prioritize programming for K-12 students and provide a multi-year financial recovery plan to eliminate the deficit by 26-27. In addition, we must submit a detailed plan to address the school renewal needs, prioritizing renewal needs that are within the scope of SCI, or the school condition assessment program. If the trustees do approve the use of proceeds of disposition, we would work with the ministry with regards to these conditions, as the trustees have received this letter and are aware of those conditions. So by asking us to use proceeds of disposition, I think would be agreeing to the conditions in the letter.
On behalf of Finance, Budget, and Enrollment Committee, please accept my and my fellow committee members' heartfelt gratitude and admiration for your hard work and dedication. While saying all this, staff, this is not against you. We all know, as a trustees, under Section 231 of Education Act, we have to balance the budget. We all know the deficit. It's not about the board. It's about the structural deficit we carry all along for years and years. We have deficits in Canada Pension Plan. It's increasing day by day every year. If you look at the full financial, what we are now getting from province is $35.2 million. If you move along to the actual teacher funding salary gaps versus the actual salary, in 2014, the province had a central bargaining team which came with the central grid system for teachers. That funding gap is increasing day by day, and now it has come up to $22 million. Replacement cost for sick leaves, it's ballooning. It's $600,000 per day, which is equal to $50+ million. When I say this, Madam Chair, it's close to $100 million, unfunded money to the board. We hear from the ministers that we are funding appropriately to the board, but I don't see it. As a budget chair, it's very hard for me to bring down any budget. But sadly, this budget is targeting our seniors, our students, our vulnerable population of this TDSB. We have been told by the ministry that we can use 27.5 by 21st of June. Why not use the full deficit from POD? Did we ask that? This is my question to you, Madam Chair, to the Madam Director or anybody from Finance. Even if we put the full deficit as a POD, what's going to happen? End of the day, the minister is going to come out and saying, you know what, we fund them enough, we give them enough money. They had their POD, they use it for balancing their budget, and now they don't have money for other things. They might even also come and tell us, and regardless of which ministry it is, they will come and say, you know what, they don't know how to manage their finances.
Thank you, and through the chair, the only thing that I'll add is the $27.5 million was chosen very specifically because we can attach one-time expenses to that one-time use of funding. As we've always said, using proceeds of disposition is not a sustainable way of balancing the budget. And so what that would do, even if the ministry were to approve it, would be to put us in the same structural deficit position next year. It would also I think we're in a little bit of a different situation than we have been in the past because we don't have those accumulated reserves to offset any additional expenditures that may happen during the year. So the reason why staff used and proposed the 27.5 again was because of the tie to specific one-time expenses. To go above that, there would be no way of recuperating the additional amount in future years.
When I vote for this motion, and the way our structure is that we've kind of adjusted our budget process over time, so this looks like where we are actually currently talking about the 3.8 million, but in fact, when the final vote comes, I'm reflecting on all the things that we've done over time to bring it to this. So I want to first of all thank all the staff who worked hard, our Associate Director Zucker, all of the finance team, all of the Associate Directors, Director, and the Budget Committee for working hard on making this work. But I'm reminded again that, what we end up usually is feeling a bit better at the end because we've done this work of cutting or changing things over a period of few months, that it feels a little bit better at the end of the day. But cumulatively, what have we been doing, not only this year, over many years? And I think it's important to contextualize that. We've had a reduction in superintendents. We have had reduction in, we've lost our school improvement coaches. They're going back to their classrooms. Some of them are amazing individuals who have helped schools flourish. We've had adjustments to principals. We've lost funding support for de-streaming that we're not able to make up. There's been issues around safety that we're not able to address. So this is actually a cuts budget. This is actually a budget. Again, I keep the analogy of, we keep cutting different parts of our limbs over years, and we walk into our schools after 15, 20 years of cuts. We are not able to recognize the schools that were there 20 years ago, and trustees have come and gone. We have somehow catered to the agenda of degrading the standards of public education and thereby leading to loss of trust. When we talk to our families, they're not happy. They're not happy with the state of public education. They think it's our fault, but over time, we are partly, and I don't push back against their anger towards me because I'm part of the system that has continuously upheld this low standards of expectation around what we should be doing with funding. So I know it's difficult, but at some point, all of us collectively will have to push back against this. It is important for us to be able to negotiate and the province to be able to see that it's inevitable that they need to start looking back at how funding is coming to a city that is very different from many places. Our needs are different, our socioeconomics are different, the kind of infrastructure that we are dealing with is different, the cost of living is different, that we are not able to find enough staffing to keep our schools' classes functional. All of these challenges add up, and we are not being given that level of support from the province, and we end up being bullied, to be frank, every year into this position, and we cave into it because we are fearful that the province might do something worse. They might, but at the same time, I am not comfortable supporting a budget that took away many things over time.
I've been here 6 years, and I was, when I decided to run for office, I was quite naive because I expected to come work with staff, work with colleagues, and try to better the education system for students, staff, and families. And the reality is once you get here, because of the budget shortfalls every year, we've had budget deficits all 6 years. All we've been doing is managing the decline, trying to put the fires out and managing the decline. The aspirational things I'd hoped to do when I got here and worked with colleagues has actually just been about trying how not to measure the steps that backwards we're taking. That being said, I'm going to vote in favor of this. I'm not remotely interested in how much POD we're using. It's our money. I will say that I find this whole thing ironic that we get a letter from the government that says that they're going to allow us to spend 27.5 of our money to fix a problem they spend years after years after years creating by the underfunding. So the irony of that just strikes me.
Thank you, Trustee McLean. I believe that brings us to the end of our speakers list. So with that, we'll open the vote on the 2024-2025 budget. And that has carried 18 to 4.